Hello, Miss Nelson's friends. All right, we're going to get settled into our new chapter book here. So yesterday, we read chapters 1 and 2 of Dinosaurs Before Dark. This is book number 1 of the series Tree House. So before we start reading chapter 3, good readers always review what they read before getting going on the new chapters. So let's see if you guys can remember. Oh, wait, before we start, let me ask you a question. If you can't remember the answer, what do? What's one of our strategies? We don't just guess, do we? What do? Yes, you're right. We look through the book because where's the answer going to be? It's going to be in the book, right? Okay, well, let's start off. Do you guys remember who our characters are in the story? To send you a picture of them here. See if they remember. Well, if you can't, let's look over here to our pages. Jack and Annie, that's right. Okay, and do you remember where the story takes place? Well, they're in the woods. That's right. In the weird woods? Did they just wander off? Where are they at? It's the woods behind their house, right? And they live in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. And what happens to Jack and Annie? What is so special about the woods that they come upon? Do you remember? Let's turn our pages and see. That's right. They come across this strange tree house, and they go up inside it. And what was inside of the tree house? Does anyone remember? Oh, I put my camera right there. Books! Tons and tons of books. So Jack and Annie go up into the tree house, right? See, we're practicing retelling the story. They go up into the tree house. There's lots of books. They look at the books, and Jack comes across, what book does Jack come across and wishes that he could see? A dinosaur book. That's right. And do you remember what type of dinosaur he really, really wants to see? A pterodon, those flying dinosaurs, right? Okay, and then what happens next? Do you remember? Well, all of a sudden, the treehouse starts spinning faster and faster, right? And the wind is blowing and whistling. And all of a sudden, it stops. And they open up their eyes. And is everything perfectly normal? No. They notice that the tree is not quite the same oak tree before all the spinning happened, all right? Okay, well, good job on retelling the story. So now I think you're ready for us to continue on. We are on chapter 3. Where is here? Jack looked out the window. He looked down at the picture in the book. He looked back out the window. The world outside and the world in the picture, they were exactly the same. The pterodon was soaring through the sky. The ground was covered with ferns and tall grass. There was a winding stream, a sloping hill, and volcanoes in the distance. Where are we? Stammered Jack. The pterodon glided down to the base of their tree. The creature coasted to a stop and stood very still. What happened to us? Said Annie. She looked at Jack. He looked at her. I don't know, said Jack. I was looking at the picture in the book, and you said, wow, I wish we could see a pterodon for real, said Annie. Yeah, and then we saw one in the Frog Creek woods, said Jack. Yeah, and then the wind got loud, and the tree house started spinning, said Annie. And we landed here, said Jack. And we landed here, said Annie. So that means, said Jack. So that means what? Said Annie. Nothing, said Jack. He shook his head. None of this can be real. Annie looked out the window again. But he's real, she said. He's very real. Jack looked out the window with her. The pterodon was standing at the base of the oak tree, like a guard. His giant wings were spread out on either side of him. "Hi!" Annie shouted. "Shh!" said Jack. "We're not supposed to be here." "But where is here?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. "Hi!" Annie called again to the creature. The pterodon looked up at them. "Where is here?" Annie called down. "You're nuts! He can't talk," said Jack. "But maybe the book can tell us." Jack looked down at the book. He read the words under the picture. This flying reptile lived in the Cretaceous period. It vanished 65 million years ago. In other words, it died. They were gone 65 million years ago. Oh no, what do you predict is happening here? What is Annie doing? No, impossible. They couldn't have landed in a time 65 million years ago. "Jack," said Annie, "he's nice." "Nice? Yeah, I can tell. Let's go down and talk to him." "Talk to him?" Annie started down the rope ladder. "Hey!" shouted Jack, but Annie kept going. "Are you crazy?" Jack called. Annie dropped to the ground. She stepped boldly to the ancient creature. I don't think she was very afraid of him, do you? Do you think? All right, chapter 4. Jack gasped as Annie held out her hand. Oh, brother. She was always trying to make friends with animals, but this was going too far. "Don't get too close to him, Annie," Jack shouted. But Annie touched the pterodon's crest. She stroked his neck. She was talking to him. What in the world was she saying? Jack took a deep breath. Okay, he would go down too. It would be good to examine the creature. Take notes, like a scientist. Jack started down the rope ladder. When he got to the ground, Jack was only a few feet away from the creature. The creature stared at Jack. His eyes were bright and alert. "He's soft, Jack," said Annie. "He feels like Henry." "Oh, do we remember who Henry is?" Jack snorted. "He's no dog, Annie." So Henry is their pet dog, remember, back at home. "Feel him, Jack," said Annie. Jack didn't move. "Don't think, Jack. Just do it." Jack stepped forward. He put out his arm very cautiously. He brushed his hand down the creature's neck. Interesting. A thin layer of fuzz covered the pterodon's skin. "Soft, huh?" said Annie. Jack reached into his backpack and pulled. What do you think he pulled out? What do all scientists need to do? Out a pencil and a notebook. He wrote fuzzy skin. So remember, scientists observe and take notes on everything they see around the world. "What are you doing?" asked Annie. "Taking notes," said Jack. "We're probably the first people in the whole world to ever see a real live pterodon." Jack looked at the pterodon again. The creature had a bony crest on top of his head. The crest was longer than Jack's arm. "I wonder how smart he is," Jack said. "Very smart," said Annie. "Don't count on it," said Jack. "His brain's probably no bigger than a bean." "No, he's very smart. I can feel it," said Annie. "I'm going to call him Henry." Jack wrote in his notebook, "Small brain," question mark, because he's not quite sure. He's making a prediction. Jack looked at the creature again. "Maybe he's a mutant," he said. The creature tilted his head. Annie laughed. "He's no mutant, Jack." "Well, what's he doing here then?" "Where is this place?" said Jack. Annie leaned close to the pterodon. "Do you know where we are, Henry?" she asked softly. The creature fixed his eyes on Annie. His long jaws were opening and closing like a giant pair of scissors. "Are you trying to talk to me, Henry?" asked Annie. "Forget it, Annie," Jack wrote in his notebook. mouth like scissors? Question mark. Did we come to a time long ago, Henry? Asked Annie. Is this a place from long ago? Suddenly she gasped. Jack! He looked up. Annie was pointing toward the hill. On top stood a huge dinosaur. Oh, and we're going to stop there. That is 2 chapters. Okay, so what did we learn these 2 chapters? Oops, excuse me, sorry. Right, so they got there. They wandered down the ladder. Where's chapter 3? Remember, I'm going to go back and look. Annie wasn't scared at all, right? She wandered down the ladder after they had talked to each other about what they remember happening. So they remembered Jack saying how he wished to do something, which was to see a real-life pterodon. They remember the wind got loud. They remember the tree house spinning, and then they landed, and then they looked out the window, and the window picture from the book matched with what they were looking outside the window, which was 65 million years ago, right? And so now Henry, I'm assuming, loves dinosaurs. He takes a real interest, grabs out his notebook to take notes. Annie is, of course, acting like he's a pet and named him what? Named him Henry. And she's talking to him, asking him questions. Jack's taking all kinds of notes that he's observing, just like what we do in science, right? But then how did it end? Annie sounds a little maybe scared or nervous. She gasped and yelled for her brother's name, right? And they looked up and saw something, a huge dinosaur on the top of the hill. What do you predict? What do you think is going to be up on top of that hill? What could be so scary? Well, I guess we will find out the next day. Let's see if this book will stay down so I can grab my bookmark. I'm going to place my bookmark right there. All right, snack time is over. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys are enjoying this book. Talk to you later. Bye.